A single organization could be blowing up the entire state-level gambling model in the United States, and, based on a recent memo, they're possibly doing it with absolutely zero people in the office. We're going to discuss the rash of activity out of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission this week and its impact on the industry, as well as what is about to become the first state-level sweeps ban on today's episode of iGaming Daily. iGaming Daily is brought to you by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. I am Jessica Wellman, managing editor of SBC Media, joined by media manager Charlie Horner. And Charlie, even from across the pond, I think you can probably feel the earthquake that is happening over here, right?
Yeah, this is big. This is really big. Obviously, it's been rumbling under the surface for a little while, and we've done quite a few podcasts on this story. But yeah, this is a significant update that we should all be paying attention to.
Yeah, so we've talked event contracts to death lately. And there's numerous iGaming Daily episodes you can go back to. But what has happened this week that really has been the culmination of several things is that the CFTC, as you recall, we probably did a podcast episode about this, didn't we? On the fact that the election event contract case went to the appeals court and that the CFTC was pushing that Kalshi should not be allowed to offer contracts on American political elections. Well, 5 months later, they've said, we argued that in January, but we'd like to just forget about it. Make it go away. We're done here. I know you've probably spent hundreds of hours writing this opinion, but we don't need it. We're good.
Yeah.
I mean, just being the clerk or whoever who had to write the opinion on this, that I am sure has put God knows how much time into it, I would lose my mind if it was
absolutely.
This has never seen the light of day, by the way.
An absolute head loss, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, we spoke about it at the time, but any sort of official motion to do anything during this sort of period in between administrations and when one set of leadership is on the way out and another one is sort of on the way in, whatever happens in that in-between period is likely to change or has the possibility to change. Under this current administration, very likely to change. I can't think of a single piece of the federal government that hasn't had some significant upheaval over the last few months. But yeah, this could have pretty significant ramifications for them just to absolve the entire case.
Yeah, so right now, the CFTC is being managed by acting chairperson Caroline Pham. And Brian Quintens, who is on the board for Kalshi and the nominee for permanent chairman, has yet to really see much develop in terms of getting him confirmed. Like, that's still in... this rests under the Committee of Agriculture, by the way, because, as we said many times, the whole event contract thing started with farming. Oh, how far we've come. So in the meantime, I think, too, when you're the acting chair, but you're not the for real chair, you don't want to do a tremendous amount of upheaval. But given the timeline, I kind of think they were probably nearing a point where an opinion was coming. And they wanted to make sure that in case the opinion was not that this is fine, that it was kind of put to rest. Here's the thing about this. Technically, the court can say no. They can say, you know what, we've done this. We're going to issue it anyways. I'm hearing different things from different lawyers on social media about the likelihood of all of this. Daniel Wallach will tell you that it seems more than likely. Andrew Kim, who's another person very knowledgeable in this space, will say it's rather unlikely. I did do the diligence of going through the DC circuit court and seeing just who has nominated these judges. It's a pretty even split between Democrats and Republicans. As you might not know, judges here technically don't have political parties, but you can kind of intuit certain things by who appoints them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, I mean, it seems unlikely. I doubt they create the drama of saying no.
Yeah, I would imagine it's unlikely. So if they were to deny the dismissal, it would just create a lot more hassle for all involved. I think this is the CFTC sort of wanting to sort of pull the plug on what they're doing, and let's just put it this way. I think it would be unlikely for them to pull the plug on it and to deny them dismissal.
Yeah, and while the CFTC, they haven't really said how they feel about event contracts, but as we talked about before, there's lots of ways to kind of infer and read into what direction they're going in. Caroline Pham has spoken in favor of election contracts. Brian Quintenz has spoken in favor of sports contracts before. And the guy that argued the case on January 17th, within 10 days, was one of the people who was no longer with the CFTC after the administration change. So I think, reading the tea leaves, it sure seems like they're bringing in people that are going to take a very open, broad approach to regulation where people can self-certify all sorts of things under the CFTC, and they're going to be fine with it. We also had this roundtable canceled, the one that we've talked about 700 times. Everybody, I kind of feels like the Great Pumpkin. Is that a reference you even understand? Small child Charlie?
No.
Oh, it's a Peanuts, like Charlie Brown.
Ah, okay. Yep.
One of the characters every year sits out at Halloween, skips trick-or-treating, waiting for the Great Pumpkin to show up. And I feel like the round table was our Great Pumpkin. We're like, well, we're going to get clarity at this round table. Don't worry, the round table's coming. And then kind of under the cover of night, it got canceled. People who were invited had tickets and hotels and stuff to make sure they were there. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we decided not to.
Feel like after waiting for so long, what has it been? So 4 or 5 months?
4 months.
Yeah, if it hadn't happened by now, it was unlikely to happen.
They're required to, though. I mean, Dustin Gowker, I think, wrote about this. Like, typically with these comment periods, you're required to have some sort of public meeting about it at some point in time, and it just hasn't happened. And it's like past the date that it should have. In the meantime, you have, I can't even keep track of all the things we got to talk about in 10 minutes. The NBA wrote to the CFTC and was just like, y'all can't be doing this. Like, you need oversight. You need to make sure people aren't cheating and manipulating markets in order to win. We can already tell where this is headed. We're really worried that you're going to offer individual player event contracts when we finally made some inroads on the sports betting side to limit the scope of what those can look like. So they're speaking up. That joins the MLB as 2 leagues now that have kind of said, we're not really sure you want to do this. What else has happened? My Lord. Oh, and let's not forget the fact that there was an announcement from the CFTC that a bunch of people are on administrative leave now.
Yeah. It's just another quiet day in America.
Just another simple day. So the way this reads, it's hard to tell if they're like, we laid off everybody, or we just laid off a few people. It's some vague language. Reading around, there's some work at ingame.com that had done a little more digging on this. It sounds like several people have been laid off related to questions about teleworking, that they were working from outside the United States when you're not allowed to do that for security reasons. Caroline Pham, by the way, at one point had an HR complaint lodged against her for creating an unpleasant workplace harassment related stuff. In the transition of administration, the HR person in charge of overseeing that investigation left. However, the CFTC in February did put out a note saying this person left because they hadn't been looking into this whole like telecommuting thing and who was following up on it or not. They were overlooking like other things that were related, other HR issues that hadn't been. And I think one of them was indeed like targeting Republicans in a negative way. So, yeah, it sounds like a hot mess over there. I would love to be a fly on the wall.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That'd be brilliant. I mean, I guess this is going to be happening at a lot of agencies across the board, but particularly with what's going on with these event contracts and the sort of the unanswered questions that the entire gambling industry in the US is waiting with bated breath to hear the answers for. It's really, really interesting. I guess just before we go to the break, Jess, what's the potential ramifications? We sort of hinted at it at the top. What could this potentially do to the industry as we know it?
I mean, if you're talking about minimizing the size of the CFTC, and some of this could be like Doge related, that they are just trying to kind of cut down on unnecessary people and work with bare bones. I think the tea leaves sure seem to suggest that they are moving towards a very light touch of oversight. And the way these markets work right now is you put them up, you self-certify them, the CFTC reviews them, and if they have an issue, they say something, which is what led to the election case in the first place. If they're going to have this light touch and not a lot of people looking, I think a lot of groups are going to self-certify a wide range of contracts really quickly. And where that starts and stops, I don't know. Like, as the NBA noted, a broad range of sports track contracts are probably on the horizon, but like, you could speculate out down the road that it's like, okay, let's have an event contract on whether the card Jessica turns over in this deck is going to be red or black. You know what I mean? Like, this could open the door to not just sports betting, but more than sports betting. I'm really being like hugely broad here in application, but it's not out of the question.
No, I think with the absence of answers, speculation goes rife, and yeah, why couldn't people, put contracts on for things that look a lot like slot machines or for player props or anything, yellow cards.
Learned anything, it's that you can turn a slot machine into just about anything, and I think an event contract slot machine is probably not. Somebody probably already has it figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, so that may be one thing they have figured out. We have nothing else figured out about this. It's a hot mess. I guarantee you, if you go to SBC Americas when this posts tomorrow, we'll have more news that is out, and what we've talked about is already outdated. It's that crazy and that fast moving. With that in mind, we're going to take a break, come back, and talk about the other industry causing a so-called existential crisis to the regulated market, sweepstakes gaming. Welcome back to iGaming Daily. Well, we finally have it. We have, Charlie, our first law designed to crack down on sweeps. Well, we don't technically have it yet. The governor of Montana needs to sign it, but there's a bill that is, at least in theory, designed to eliminate sweepstakes gaming in the state on online sites.
Yeah, just in case listeners were just after some light relief after the CFTC chat, strap in.
We're not going fun.
Strap in, yeah, because this is just as complicated.
This is a heavy reading day of classwork. I'm going to read to you what it is they're prohibiting, and then we can talk about why the way you word this is always going to create problems. All right, here's what they're adding to existing law. Internet gambling includes online casinos by whatever name known, which constitute internet gambling, therefore are prohibited. This includes, but is not limited to, any platform, website, or application that knowingly transmits or receives gambling information, allows consumers to place a bet or wager using any form of currency, and makes payout of any form of currency. So they're trying to go after the whole dual currency model, which is kind of the foundation of sweepstakes, where you buy the free coins that you can use to play on the free-to-play machines, and you get an allocation of a second type of currency, usually called sweeps coins, that you can play the same machines but win more sweeps coins, which can then be converted to dollars. But I don't know if other stuff is accidentally brought into this or not. What are your thoughts just on face?
It's very broad. It is very broad, and this is the problem when you are drafting legislation, is that if you're going after something and you want to put it into law, you kind of have to be about as specific as you can be without letting something slip out the net. And yeah, any form of currency and makes payouts of any form of currency. Any form of currency is quite broad.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you and I were in prison, cigarettes tend to be currency. You know what I mean? It's a very broad idea, and it should be live on SBC Americas now, but I took a bit of a deep dive into kind of what might potentially be brought into this, in particular looking at social casinos connected to real money casino brands, Hard Rock, MGM, Caesars. But let's just talk more broadly about just about any loyalty program that you have involves a second form of currency, if you will. Like at Starbucks, it's gold stars. You earn X amount of gold stars, and then you can redeem X amount of gold stars and get a free coffee. So it's kind of a currency, right?
Yeah, we've been making the McDonald's monopoly analogy for quite a while with this story, and that, again, it's a similar kind of thing, and it could be swept under this thing. And like you say, with the Starbucks loyalty, it's very difficult what you can label not and as a currency or not.
Yeah, so I play at Hard Rock Cincinnati. I play poker there all the time, and you earn Unity points. And Unity points translate into dollars you can spend at the casino. So 1,000 Unity points is $1. You can't use it on everything. You can't use it to gamble. You can't use it to buy alcohol. But my boyfriend and I go out every month and have dinner using Unity points because I can translate them into comp dollars. They function as money. Hard Rock Social Casino allows you to sync your account, and every time you purchase gold coins to gamble with on their free-to-play social casino, you earn Unity points, which can be translated into dollars. Now, you're not on the game itself, you're not earning Unity points, but they do say they're trying to work on that. MGM, their social casino has an award system based on play that you can redeem for hotel nights, dining, and I don't know why MGM is partnered with the Plaza Casino, but it is interesting to me. You can redeem it to game playing bingo at the Plaza Casino. So you can redeem it to go play real money gaming.
So the question begs is if this
is this
passed,
legal in Montana?
Yeah, exactly. And what happens to those players in Montana who are currently taking up those products? Do they have to be ring fenced out of it?
I don't know, and I have inquiries in with MGM, Caesars, and Hard Rock, and they are have not gotten back to me with a definitive answer yet. But like, it sure seems like any social casino that has some sort of loyalty element is going to be impacted by this, or arguably could be. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, do I think they will? Not necessarily, because the group that enforces this is probably going to be told to leave them alone. But just on face, it sure seems like it doesn't fit.
It doesn't. And I'm quite surprised that this has gone through both chambers of the legislature and it hasn't been picked up on. I know, obviously, lawmakers can't be experts in every single industry, but you would think that they're getting some kind of expert advice from somebody out there, someone who's got a vested interest.
They go through so many bills and they're just kind of told, listening to the testimony of these bills, it's just like, oh, hey, these are illegal online sites, they're offshores, they're this, and we need to crack down on them because they're bad. And nobody, in Maryland, we've seen the SPGA show up and testify and some of these other places, but in Montana, I don't believe that they really saw anything. And then in the meantime, the Starbucks and the whatevers of the world are like, well, they're not going to enforce it on us, so we're not going to worry about it. But, I mean, that's technically a dangerous game to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting note. I don't have this in the outline, so I'm going to drop some knowledge on Charlie he probably isn't aware of. What I like about New York is that the New York sweeps bill has concluded the definition thing is a problem. Their solution is well, we're going to leave it up to the New York State Gaming Commission to determine who is and isn't in violation of this.
Oh.
And I'm like, while this is a solution to the definition issue, I don't know if it's better to let a non-elected government-appointed group of people extremely tied to the land-based casino industry and regulated industry just pick and choose who to enforce this against. Like, I don't know if it fixes your definition problem, but it sure doesn't seem great. It
doesn't seem so ethical, and there's not many checks and balances in play there.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's just like, okay, listen, the definition's a problem, so instead, we're gonna play favorites. Capiche? Capiche. We're done here. That one is still advancing. I believe it's gone to the Senate floor at this point in time, so we'll see if it continues to make progress. In the meantime, Montana, I don't envision the governor not signing it, but he did veto a bill about government overreach on styrofoam, so he does veto things. Who knows? Maybe he'll call this government overreach and send it back. But we are anticipating this becomes law. We are anticipating lots of other legal developments as well. It's a busy, busy week and a perfect time for a big bunch of us to go to Florida for SBC Summit Americas next week. But you can still check out all the news on SBC Americas. Come say hi to us at the SBC booth in Fort Lauderdale next week, and come back tomorrow for another episode of iGaming Daily.